Boy, oh boy, do I have a treat for you folks today. We can all agree that most of the DC Democrats these days are mentally, emotionally, and morally challenged, to say the least. But there are a select few that really helped bring us into the current state of free-flowing insanity that we are unfortunately living through today. Now, in my humble opinion, the still active ringleaders responsible would be Nasty Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Cocaine Mitch McConnell, and Mad Maxine Waters, to name a few. Oh, and one underrated or under-the-radar psychopath, a venomous, full-on, hate-filled racist from Texas, Representative Sheila Jackson Lee. If you actually take the time to listen to this nutjob, this whammon, if she had her druthers, would easily have all white males in labor camps. And as Beijing Biden says constantly, no joke, or not a joke, people. Anyways, let's move on with the story. Leftists don't even bother putting on an act anymore. They don't believe in freedom of speech, and they mean to deny it to their political opponents. And this is by far the most disturbing aspect of their agenda. For without the freedom of dissent, a tyrant can operate without any restraints whatsoever. Without the freedom of speech, there simply is no free society. The latest example of the left's war on dissent comes from none other than Sheila Jackson Lee, who has just introduced a bill to the House titled Leading Against White Supremacy Act of 2023. Because only vicious racists could possibly object to combating white supremacy, right? Well, actually, the bill is cleverly framed, but like so many other congressional initiatives, it's far more insidious than its name would suggest. This bill is designed to, quote, prevent and prosecute white supremacy-inspired hate crimes and conspiracy to commit white supremacy-inspired hate crimes, and to amend Title 18 U.S. Code to expand the scope of hate crimes, unquote. The framers of the bill were thoughtful enough to provide a helpful explanation. Get a load of this. Quote, a person engaging in a white supremacy-inspired hate crime when white supremacy ideology has motivated the planning, development, preparation, or perpetration of actions that constituted a crime or were undertaken in furtherance of activity that, if effectuated, would have constituted a crime, unquote. Alrighty, now that's all clear as crystal, isn't it? But how is it going to be determined whether or not white supremacy ideology motivated someone? We have been told repeatedly that white supremacists, also known as domestic violent extremists, are the biggest terror threat the nation faces today. Joe Biden, his Gestapo chief, Merrick Garland, and the FBI have all said this, and none of them would lie to us, now would they? But with the Biden administration so eager to portray white supremacists as this massive threat, how can we be sure that administration officials won't be shoehorning cases into this paradigm in order to justify their claims? After all, this has already happened. In November of 2021, FBI and Homeland Security Department officials increased investigations of domestic extremists, reiterating the claim that they are today's foremost terror threat. The only thing really lacking in this scenario has been actual white supremacist terrorists in any significant number. The FBI, however, have appeared ready, even eager to supply them. Whistleblowers have revealed that old Joe's pure as the driven snow feds have been hard at work pressuring agents to classify cases as domestic violence extremism when they weren't, and reward them when they do. That's how you create a white supremacist terror threat. Kind of reminds me of a New York hospital during the Bat Stew lockdowns. Oh, you say he fell off a building? Well, chalk him up to another COVID death. So really, in light of all the feds' hard efforts to find bad whitey everywhere, Jackson Lee's bill, if it became law, quite easily would become the pretext for the prosecution of people who expressed views that the ruling party or ruling class didn't like. So basically, the dissidents would be claimed to be operating according to the, quote, white supremacy ideology and prosecuted accordingly. Now, Jackson Lee might respond that any law can be abused, but her bill has more problematic aspects than just that. Apparently, She envisions criminalizing particular points of view that she doesn't like, including, quote, antagonism based on replacement theory, unquote. Even worse, Jackson Lee's bill would criminalize, quote, hate speech that vilifies or is otherwise directed against any non-white person or group and such published material, unquote. So, hate speech that vilifies white people is apparently just fine. Now, let's also keep in mind that the very concept of hate speech is subjective, and the term is far too often used to refer to speech that is perfectly true and accurate but disliked by the group making the charge. And there is certainly nothing in the Constitution about, quote, hate speech not enjoying the protections of the First Amendment. Jackson Lee's bill would be the destruction of the United States as a free society. Of course, it has no chance of passing in this House, but the very fact that it was introduced and that Democrat leaders didn't denounce and censure Jackson Lee for introducing it is ominous enough. Now, in a sane political culture, Jackson Lee's political career would effectively be over for this bill alone. But there are sane political cultures, and then there is the current culture of politics we're living through. The anti-free speech movement in the United States continues to grow with alarming speed among writers, journalists, academics, and most importantly, Democrat members of Congress. Members now openly call for censorship and the manipulation of what citizens see and read. Yet, even in this environment, the recent proposal by Jackson Lee is a menacing standout. Jackson has introduced a bill that is an almost impenetrable word salad of convoluted provisions. However, what is clear, perhaps the only clear thing, is that the Leading Against White Supremacy Act of 2023 would gut the First Amendment and create effective thought crimes. But as I said earlier, this bill is not going to pass. However, that's not the main takeaway here. The anti-free speech elements of the bill are deeply disturbing because they reflect successful efforts at softening previous strong points to do with freedom of speech rights. Remember, folks, this is a game of inches, not feet, and years, not months, weeks, or days. Yes, the disgusting Jackson Lee bill will thankfully die in the House. However, it reflects the same erosion of free speech values that we have seen in other countries, from Canada to Germany to the United Kingdom.
So this is a WTF moment here in the House of Representatives. People moving offices, and this is apparently where Representative Sheila Jackson Lee keeps her American flag, her POW flag, in the garbage can, in the trash. That's her idea of appropriate for moving the American flag. WTF. What the hell is wrong with these people?
Not that I really think I'll ever need to, but if anything further comes of this bullshit bill, I'll be the first to let you know. Most of this came by way of ZeroHedge.com. If you liked it, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment down below. There's a PayPal link in the description box, so please put $1 in the bucket on the way out the door. I'd like to thank everyone for all your donations. They're much needed and much appreciated. Now, with all that being said, we'll see you next time.
Come on, move. Move. Easy, easy.